All right, we will reconvene into open session at 5:58 p.m. We'll report on action taken in closed session regarding pending litigation, consideration of liability claim of Thomas Talk. By a vote of 5-0, trustees voted to reject the liability claim of Thomas Talk presented to the district on October 3rd, 2022. Item C, stipulated expulsion for student 2223A.
Thank you, Madam President. As discussed in closed session, the district recommends that the board approve the stipulated expulsions with an added piece of counseling for both individuals.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the stipulated expulsion for student 2223A with the addition of a counseling plan.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, is there any discussion or questions regarding this item? All right, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay, item D, stipulated expulsion for student 2223B.
Madam President, we'd like to recommend the same motion with counseling.
Okay, is there a motion for this item? Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries 5 yes votes. We will now stay on for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 5, comment session. A, comments and announcements by board members. Vice President. Okay. Jessica Anthony.
I was able to attend the family meeting at Oakdale Heights yesterday regarding bullying. A nice presentation by Mrs. Angie Marino and Mrs. Amy Hubbard. And they did a great job providing a slideshow listing things that our schools are going through and differentiating between bullying and confrontation and signs to look for if your child is being bullied or you think your child might be bullying. And it was a nice little presentation. It was great to have all that information. A lot of things were new information to me to explore and watch for. And I was really grateful to have that. And they are looking for more parent involvement. I thought that was a great way to get started. And then also more suggestions on topics. And so I have been brainstorming, and I hope that if anybody else has any ideas, we can submit them over their way so they can make a presentation on that.
Okay, thank you. Lisa Torres.
I was able to attend the studios at Central, the Vapor Showcase. Energy was high. It was awesome. It was amazing. Kids did really good. It's an exciting thing. You know, they're outgoing. They're able to get through that fear of being on stage, and the kids were just so excited. And I was so happy just to see their faces, and they did such a great job. You know, I didn't want it to end. I wanted more. So I was just grateful I was invited to go to that. I am working with Kathy at Wyandotte for the Parent Teacher Club, trying to get that back up and started. We need parent involvement. It's in a down right now. It's starting back up. So we're trying to get as many people as we can in. And if you know anyone, they've rewritten the bylaws to where Now, guardians of the child that's in the school can also be a participant, because at one point it could only be the parent, but we know that nowadays the parent is not always the legal guardian. And so if you want to be involved in the child's education, you can also be involved as well. So that's exciting. We did have one meeting. It was just us, but we were able to hash out some things so we can get prepared. So when we do get a new board together, everything will be right and go the way it's supposed to go. We went to Shalene is one of our students. She's been in the school system since she was in Head Start. And so we went to the Democratic Club, the Candidates Forum, and she was one of the students. The first time there was ever a student able to ask candidates questions. She came up with her own questions and she was able to ask candidates questions. So that just gives an opening. This is what we build our students for. We involve ourselves in their education so that they can become young adults and their voices be heard by other people that are running for candidacy. And so like that, they can hear from a child that has no agenda. They just want to see what can better their community. So I'm just grateful for that. So it's been a very heavy month, but my all excitement was the studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bill LaGrone.
I have none, thank you.
Move on to comments and announcements by administration. Dr. Holta.
Thank you. I was able to attend the VAPA showcase at the studios last Friday. I was there with Miss Lisa Torres, one of our board members, and we sat together and had a great time watching our kids. You could tell that this was their first time being on stage. Several of them were very nervous, but once they got going, they did great. And we had one student in particular I was thinking of who barely would go on there. And then by the end of the show, we couldn't get him to stop. So it was a lot of great things. Thank you to the studios for that. Also wanted to report back to the board and to the community that the Apogee conference that I went to early this month was excellent. One of the best conferences I've been to in several years. My goal when I go to conferences is to bring back 3 ideas that I can implement back into our district to improve it. One of the biggest things that I learned was the importance of communication to all of our staff. So I've implemented a weekly communication update to all staff members that goes out on Friday of the things that are happening in our district, calendar items, important things of note. And I received a lot of really positive feedback for that. So thank you for allowing me that opportunity to go to that conference. And there'll be some other ideas that I'm working on that I've kind of taken back from that conference, and I'll report out at a future date. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Andrew James.
Good evening, everybody. I'd just like to take a couple moments to say a couple comments. First, we got the Stop It app, sort of re-implemented. Stop It is an anonymous bullying or other type of incident reporting tool that students can use. It's in their on their profile in Clever. So if they're able to report anonymously and our staff can interact with that anonymous tip back and forth through the Stop It app. So that's something that our insurance has had for us, and we finally got it re-implemented with all the new players involved. Other thing, we have a lot of software implementations and network changes going on. And though you never see these people, John Damone and Garrett Hartman and Christopher Murphy have been doing a wonderful job for us, as well as the BCOE network team, as we're going through the rewiring. So we're doing all the rewiring of all the network cables at the sites, and right now they're working it over. And it's been, with their help and with the support of the vendor, it's been pretty seamless. So I just wanted to give a shout out to those guys today.
Great, thank you. And Janet Hanley.
Good evening. So I have a couple of calendar items that I'm going to read, and then a couple comments. So for calendar items, October 20th, we start our math committee with the K-5 group to do a district-wide math assessments. We'll begin working on that. On November 4th, we have all of our classified staff will be attending an explicit bias training. And on November 8th, we have a DLAC meeting at 4:30, and November 15th, Parent University, which is the workshop that Jessica was just talking about, is going to focus on suicide prevention, and that will be at the studios at Central. So you are invited to attend these events if you're interested. And for comments, today we had a big training with Dr. Rubel Kaba, and it takes a lot of work in order for an event to go off. And so just kudos to Shannon Ensminger. She's my assistant, and she did a fabulous job. And then in order to make that work, it's everybody pitching in. Kim was helping, maintenance helps, the studios at Central helped with some of the setup, but it's a lot of people that did it. And just kudos to all of them because it went out really smoothly, and I appreciate their work. And then I want to give kudos to teachers. I watch when in the morning, we go out and look at circles and see how they're implementing them. And first of all, they're doing a great job. They're rocking it. It's looking good. But the other is you see all the adjusting that's going on for the substitutes because we're short teachers and they have to change classes and take in new kids. And I think it's really wearing on them, but I just really admire them pitching in and being supportive and working with the kids that they get unexpectedly in their class that day. And we're also doing some trainings this year district-wide for our campus supervisors and helping them learn our implementation, the restorative practices, and how to have restorative conversations. They have a tough job and they take a lot out there on the playground. And I just want to give kudos to them because we're trying to really work at 2 of the sites on behavior-specific praise with the new program, and they're doing a phenomenal job. And my last one is Angie Moreno and Amy Hubbard are doing a series of trainings this year, and they're doing a fabulous job. We do need to figure out a way to get more support if we want to continue that. And so they're brainstorming ways to get more parents to attend. So anybody is welcome again to come to Parent University November 15th at the studios at Central. Thank you. I'll have to double check. I think it's at 6, but I'll double check that. Okay. I'll make sure it's on the website.
Great, thank you. And now our first time hearing from our new special ed director, Holly Gutierrez.
Good evening. Today we did have that training. It was amazing to see the entire district there. All means all. So it was very inviting. Walking back with my staff and other staff members, I'm not even sure where they were from. We were walking back to Sierra de Oro Inclusive Preschool, and there was just so much positive talk about how meaningful his presentation was. And it was about changing climate and changing culture. And so I just really had a very positive interaction with staff members. Again, I don't know where they're from. It doesn't matter. It was just wonderful to see that. For announcements, the special ed department, like everyone, needs more employees. So we are going to offer a job fair on November 10th from 9 to 2:30 p.m. We're going to create flyers and have these flyers handed out during the parent conferences that are November 2nd through 4th, and also put up some banners. So if you know anyone, we will be there. We will be welcoming. We will help supporting with the whole application process. And then also there is some requirements of a special ed assistant 1 and 2, but we have study guides, and we would like to put together a study course in order to support our community and some of these parents who would love to volunteer, and why not be paid while you're there? And I think they're just kind of worried about this assessment. So it's nice if we can get some names and get people from the community into our schools, which is very supportive. Then we need to give them the support in order to pass these exams. And that is it.
The SDO.
It will be at the district office.
Right, thank you. All right, item C, comments by the public. At this time, the board will extend an invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on matters which are school related. For those attending remotely who wish to comment, use the raise your hand button to be called on to speak. Comments or questions may also be emailed to backpack@ocesd.net. Please include your first and last name in your email. comments and questions received will be read into the record and or addressed during the meeting. However, comments received without the sender's name will not be shared during the meeting. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes per subject. Do we have any comments by members of the public in attendance? Okay, do we have any emails at Backpack?
No, we do not.
And do we have anyone online requesting to be heard?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you. So we will move on to item 6, public hearing session. A, proposed compensation for classified staff effective July 1st, 2022, CSEA.
So this is an opportunity for the Board of Trustees to receive public comment regarding the proposed compensation for classified staff effective July 1.
Do we have any public comment on this item? None in person, any online,
No, there are none online nor any on the email.
and no emails. Okay. Item B, proposed compensation for non-representative staff, represented staff effective July 1st, 2022.
And again, this is an opportunity for the Board of Trustees to receive public comment regarding proposed compensation for non-represented staff, which includes confidential, supervisory, management, and administrative. And that would also be effective July 1, 2022.
Any comments from the public in attendance? Any emails?
There are none.
Anyone online?
No.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item number 7, presentations. A, the studios at Central.
So you just want to point at me when it's your, when you switch the lights?
Yeah. Hi, so I'm Lauren Albert, the principal of the studios at Central, and I just better. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, nice. I actually like the mic when you can hold it and walk around. This strap to the table thing is different. So I thought it would be cool, since I've been here for about 6 months, to give you an update of how far we've come. And so one of my I guess it's a weakness. This is a moment where it's actually a strength, because my desire to go quickly is actually good, as you'll see in this presentation. Other times it's not great because then you trip and fall. But here we go. So this is an update on our 3-year plan. We're obviously in the first year and just in the first quarter of the first year. So when I presented pretty much the same set of slides, it was about April, I think. Sorry, I don't know the exact date, but I'm just trying to show how far we've come. So yes, we still focus on sports. In fact, we've just, we're towards the end of our volleyball season. Next up is traveling basketball. And we did not get an interest for cross country. So we're actually not doing cross country. And the travel ball is going to be one set of teams. And then there's also the Feather River Rec Department League also. So it'll involve more students that get to play basketball, not just the traveling team. We still have esports, affinity clubs. So the clubs we currently have are Pride Club, Hmong Culture Club, and Club Live. And coming soon, we found a couple people who are willing to start our Native American Culture Club and African American Culture Club. So that's pretty exciting, and that'll be new coming up. And for social emotional growth, we still focus on SEL lessons and have added in the restorative chats and circles.
Miss Albert, has your
Yes.
volleyball team lost yet?
The A team, I'm pretty sure has not, although I haven't heard from the last 2 days. So I don't
Okay,
want to say the wrong thing, but
okay, but
we're doing very well. And we also won at Nelson in Nelson's gym. That's kind of a highlight. Okay. And it's great because it started very fast. There was new management at the Feather River Rec Department. So a lot of schools didn't start in the league right off. But we went for it. Another one of those, like, let's just do it. And I've just seen an incredible change with students who had poor behavior at the beginning of the year are already so invested in volleyball that their way of communicating with others has changed. Their desire to do their schoolwork has changed. So I'm really glad we jumped on that one and are seeing really great things from the sports that are happening. So this one is pretty exciting. We had talked about wanting to integrate arts into the classroom, also participate in field trips and assemblies, and those things are happening. So on the left side, we went to see Pauline Yang, who's a pianist, world-renowned pianist, actually. And what they do for schools is they allow you to go as a field trip with a sponsor. So the sponsor for the school trips that went the day that we went was Oroville Hospital. But if you went in the evening, it's somewhere around $30 to watch her per person. So it kind of gives you an idea of like, this is a real artist. And normally you would have to pay quite an amount to go visit. And we got to go see her. We took 250 students on a 1-mile walking trip. Dr. Holtum joined us and saw that we were actually quite successful. I was extremely nervous. I did call the resource officer in advance and just said if he had time, could he circle around? And he did. As we were walking, it helped us feel safe. From both sides, I guess I will say that our students didn't do naughty things while we were walking and other people kind of left us alone. So it really worked out. They learned a lot about just going out. There was a moment when the lights went out, and you can tell me if I'm talking too much and I can stop, but and I realized that our students didn't understand where we were and what we were doing. So we need to pre-teach a little bit on our field trips. The lights flicker at the beginning of a show to kind of let you know to get back into your seat and settled because the show's about to begin. I think many of our students thought something bad was happening because the lights were flickering and they just got so loud. And to me, a theater is like a library. So we're going to have to reteach that. So we got them quieted back down, explained they're all fine. It just means the show's going to start, and they quieted back down. Everything was fine after that. But it was just a great moment to say many of these students don't have those opportunities. And now they do because you've approved this program and allowed us to take kids out. So it's a pretty good reminder of what they're used to and what's going to be new for them and some of the exciting things that are happening. I cry a lot, just so you know, if it happens, it might happen. Okay. I get emotional. The other side of the slides shows a little bit of our 6th grade mini showcase, which was super exciting. They were so nervous. So the week before this show, the teachers had come to me and said, I don't think my class is ready to go on the stage. We're going to do our performance from the floor. And I said, that's fine. It's our first one. We have time to grow. And in the end, all classes performed from the stage, except the visual art class, which their work was on the wall. So there are 4 different rotations. Visual art was on the wall. We had the dance class up on the stage. We had the theater group with the boy that was so great. He couldn't find his shoes was his poem. And it was just so engaging. It was so great to see him with the mic, but the bell rang because he was doing a little too much impromptu. We had to like poke at him to stop. He got carried away. And then we also had music, and what they shared was boom whackers, which is a plastic tube that plays different sounds by the length of the tube. They're different colors to make it easy for instruction, but it's really the length of the tube. But we also have 34 piano keyboards. So that might be the next showcase. Maybe they'll show off their piano keyboards or some of the drums that we have, tongue drums, or even singing. So there's could be different things when you come to each quarter show, whoever wants to come. It'll just be showcasing the things that they're learning that quarter. So the kids will switch. So the dancers will go to theater will go to music, kind of like that. So they'll all get an experience in each of the strands throughout the school year. All right, this is where I just started slapping red check marks on everything, just to really make it visual that these things have happened. So you have the preview classes for 6th graders. We have our semester and year-long elective set up for our 7th and 8th graders. We also are integrating the arts into the classroom, and we're starting to remember to take pictures. So exciting things are happening, but we don't always remember to stop and take a picture of it happening. But when we do, you're going to see it in the main office, and I can bring an update sometime in the future of that. We also got involved more in the community. So the one on the right with Dr. Holtum and Rory the lion are from the Feather Fiesta Days last May. And then the one down below with some of our arts teachers and our VAPA team is from this most recent event, the Salmon Festival. So we provide free activities or crafts or arts experiences for the community when we go out to these events. And it's just a way to advertise what we're doing and also provide an arts experience for the community. And so the one thing that doesn't really have a check mark up there is our 2 school-wide cultural events. Those are pretty big and they take a lot of effort to put together. And so it's in the works, but it's taking a little more time than we had thought. It may be 1 this year because of all the other things that are happening. Okay. Year 2, obviously we're not in year 2 yet, or year 3, you can go to the next one. Those are still things coming up, so you can go to the next one. So facilities, the 2 main things that happened were the wood in the gym. If you've seen it, it looks fabulous. So it was all not just restained, but they replaced a lot of the woodwork and then stained it. And so it looks really cool when you go in there. It's one of those things where if you like you upgrade the vanity in your bathroom, then you see that the tile needs to go too in the mirror. So you kind of go in there and go, oh, maybe the curtain's next. But just I'll wait. Okay. Just throwing it out there. So anyway, the goal was the restanding, and it's happened, and it looks really nice, really inviting. The other thing that happened is we did set up the temporary dance studio in portable number 32. And so it has those fancy, you can't see them on the left, bottom left down there. But there's a whole wall in the portable of those giant dance mirrors. And we had them backed with a fiber so that when the locker rooms are upgraded to be our dance studio, they can just move the mirrors to the new location. We don't have to rebuy the mirrors. The yellow golden color check marks they're happening. So we have some quotes for the locker room, but demolition hasn't started yet. The mock stage, it just needs the carpeting, but it's a wood stage that's built in the corner, like this classroom picture, which is just from a TV show. It's not our actual stage. And so it's just a little mock stage so they can practice their theater skills, practice being on stage, practice being in front of other people in the comfort of their own classroom. So those things have happened. And the last one that we thought we could do this year, but we'll see, is there's just some minor upgrades to the visual art room. Some way she has the cabinets. If we just moved some of the shelving units for student work below, it would open up a lot of counter space for supplies to be readily available for students. Not an emergency. She's still teaching visual art just fine. So that's why it hasn't happened yet. And then some other exciting things if we get to them in year 2 or 3. So we're good. Equipment, signage. We have a very cool sign. It was at the first slide and it'll be at the last slide. It's our front of the school image, new logo. Some rebranding is happening. And why I put golden is because the big one over the stage hasn't been installed yet, but it's been ordered. So when that comes, I can share out a picture. What we do have is we thought we needed 25 piano keyboards, but the 6th grade class was so big, we actually have 34 of them. And some percussion instruments. We did get some more music stands for the chorus and choir class. That's for the 7th and 8th graders. So band has music stands, but they use them. So we had to get a few extra for the music class, which is more of the choral, the singing class. The portable speakers are just to help those, like the 6th grade mini show, to be heard by everybody. And what else is up there? MP3 speakers were for theater and dance. And then the dance bars are in the dance room with the big mirrors. And the rest is stuff that we're working on, not emergencies. As we get more serious about our plays, the teacher will ask probably for some costumes. And I'm hoping to get parents more involved. Either they can donate things or they could help us sew. We have a teacher who wants to start sewing club and thinking that they could work together with the sewing club and the need for the costumes. That's pretty much it for equipment. Personnel, we're learning that we're actually pretty talented teachers and staff, that a lot of the people we thought we would need to carry us up to this point, we haven't really needed a lot of them yet. The resident artists would be like visitors who can come in like a field trip or an assembly experience. Who is the other one? A consultant would be really a good thing. If you saw the mini showcase, you might have noticed the theater group maybe needs some ideas and some support. She's a brand new teacher. So bringing in someone for a couple hours to maybe give suggestions on how that could really turn more into a play might be a great thing. We don't think we need a VAPA coordinator. We just have a team of teacher volunteers who are willing to meet. We meet about once a month to make sure we're making progress on these goals. And so maybe that's some savings right there on not having a VAPA coordinator. I'm okay to go. Oh, there's the front sign. I just think it looks so cool. It's colorful, still has the lion, it says everything. The little 5 bubbles are the 5 arts disciplines. So if you were to look at it, you would understand we're an art school. And there's an extra slide there that's not really that important, but if you want to know like why we're doing it, I went over that last time, but it's not really an update. Any questions? Sorry, I read it mostly. I should have looked at you more. Sorry.
I have a question, maybe
Yeah.
more towards Dr. Holtum, is how can we share the successes, the stories, the growth of what we're doing here at the studios with our community so that people that have primary school children right now can consider this and see what's happening. When you were presenting that, I got goosebumps on one of the slides where you said you get emotional and you might cry.
Okay.
I was full of goosebumps over here. Like, wow, look at what all these children are doing. They're being helped in ways that they don't realize they're being helped with yet.
Mhm.
So how can we share that with our community in the form of social media, a commercial, like how,
Report it to you too.
yeah, share it
Let's do.
and spread it out, spread this good news, this
My
good
parents can
change.
see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because, you know, with the choices coming up with fourth and fifth graders, where are they going to go to school? Do they know that this is happening still? We know that it's a visual and performing arts school, but how?
Then there's broadcasting arts.
So we've been using social media and we did some commercials directly specifically designed around the VAPA product and our vision for that. And that has been going out in our theaters and our social media to let everybody know. At the conference I went to, they shared that for school districts, the best way to share and communicate with our families is through the people who are involved in it. And it's our kids and our families, because they're the ones who are going to be able to share that message. And the people on the receiving end are actually going to believe it. And so I'm going to be working with Lauren as we move into next year to have her sixth graders and seventh graders and eighth graders go to our elementaries and talk this up and promote this and kind of say, hey, come to Central or come to Studios. You know, this is what we have to offer. But the best thing that we can possibly do is provide a tremendous program at Studios, because the kids will start to talk about it and the parents will start to talk about it. At our VAPA showcase last Friday, we didn't have a ton of parents, but we had a number of parents there. And as we move through the year and this gets more and more popular, it's going to grow because our parents are going to talk to their friends and their friends are going to talk to their other friends, because that is where the power is going to come from. And so our goal is to use social media. Our goal is to do, at the end of this year, do showcases at our elementaries. I will be promoting it in other ways via communication devices, meaning all calls and things like that, and letting parents know. But again, the most powerful thing is for us to provide a really great program. And then the word of mouth is going to drive this program. And that's why Lauren's sharing this information with you, so that you can see the progress that we're making, and then we're doing what we're saying we're promised to do. And the other thing is continue to improve our facilities, because that is what's going to make the difference as well. When our families see that we're really investing in our facilities, and that's a big priority for me, and I know it is for the district. And we've put a lot of money into our facilities, and we're really improving our facilities as we move through the year.
Thank you.
When's
That was well said.
next presentation? When is the next
Like the
performance?
sixth grade showcase. So they happen at the end of each quarter. So the next one will be just like probably the second week of December. I can get a real date for you because it's just the last day of the quarter is literally when we're doing it. Something we want to adjust, which is going to help with word of mouth, is having some of our seventh and eighth grade like PTO type parents. If they could help serve the refreshment, then they're also seeing it. It's another way to bring in more families. But I think just getting more people involved, more families involved. So we did have about 50 guests, and there are 126 graders. So it's not really 50% because you might have two parents with the same family, but it's a pretty good percentage for one of our events. And so I think that's just going to grow as they understand what it is they're coming to. I think a lot of times parents are nervous when they don't know what to expect. And so just knowing I get to sit in the audience and enjoy this and then I leave, I get cookies or whatever. This is cool. So we will change it though. We're already talking about seventh period instead of eighth, because we need a little more time at the end to not rush into the show and make sure we have a minute to chat with the families. And we'll get a commercial, but maybe I'm not in it next time.
We did do a nice commercial, and you will be in it next time.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. I will say though, the last thing, the commercial, I got asked, where did you find the students for the commercial? And the answer is they were Central students. The only catch was they were kind of advertising a program that wasn't totally there yet.
Yeah.
They were our kids who knew how to do those things. It was a girl we found who actually did dance on the side, who was the dance piece of the commercial. Some kids who knew how to use the live theater, what do you call it, green screen and the filming equipment were our students. So, and the band, the instruments they were playing, those were authentic kids who played those instruments. So they were our kids in that commercial, in case anybody asks. Just wanted to say they're awesome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Is there any discussion with the high school so that our students have a clear pathway for those that are really engaged and want to grow with FAPA?
So we don't have clear communication yet, but I've already Googled who the staff is at both Orville High School and LP. And I've also reached out to Inspire School of the Arts in Chico to see if they might come perform for us or if we could go visit them, because they really are a true art school. We're not quite there yet. Obviously, it's a rollout plan. But just so they have, right, they know where they can go after this. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Is there a parent information night for our graduating or advancing fifth graders?
We haven't had that in the past, but that's certainly something that we can do in the future. And like I shared with you, I've talked with Lauren about taking groups of kids out to the school and showing the kids, but probably based off of your comment, inviting the families as well, because it's, it's the parents that are making
Yeah,
those
get as many
decisions.
families as you can in a parent information night to educate them on what both school sites have to offer and how they can help make family decision together based on what we have, instead of just going by word of mouth alone.
Thank you. And I think it would be advantageous for us to do that for both of our middle schools, because both of our middle schools have a lot to offer and different amenities and different programs. And so I will follow through with that we have those kind of opportunities for all of our parents to see both of our programs.
Right. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 8, action session. A, public comments on action items. The board will extend an invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on items that are listed on the agenda. For those attending remotely who wish to comment, use the raise your hand button to be called on to speak. Comments may also be emailed to backpack@ocesd.net. Please include your first and last name in your email. Comments received that pertain to items listed on the agenda will be read into the record during this time. However, comments received without the sender's name will not be read. The Brown Act does not allow the governing board to discuss or take action on any item that is not on the posted agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes per subject. Is there any public comment on action items in the room? Okay. Is there any emails?
No, there are not.
Okay. Are there any raised hands online?
No, there are not.
Okay. Move on to the consent agenda. I'll ask, oh no, there isn't anything in the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any question or discussion on the consent agenda items? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Move on to item number 10. I will be recusing myself from this item due to my personal connection.
At this time, I'd like to bring up the ratification tentative agreement with the California School Employees Association for 22-23.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. It's recommended that a tentative agreement with CSEA regarding compensation for the 22-23 school year be ratified as presented.
Any questions or comments? Motion to approve.
So moved.
A second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Item B, approve the memorandum of understanding with the California School Employees Association one-time amount to use within the district.
It is recommended that a memorandum of understanding or MOU with CSEA regarding a one-time sum of $5,000 to be used within the district for the 22-23 school year be approved as presented. And I do want to clarify that that one-time sum is for the use of the association to request resources or needs or conferencing or training or anything like that. This is not a one-time sum going to each individual CSEA member. And I want to make that clear.
Thank you. Any comments or concerns on this item? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Andrew.
So we're on C.
C,
Okay,
correct.
we will be setting the date for our annual organizational meeting.
It is recommended that the board set and approve Wednesday, December the 14th, 2022 at 6 o'clock as the date and time for the annual organizational board meeting. The annual organizational meeting will be in conjunction with a regular board meeting. And basically, this is the opportunity to elect officers for the next year.
I will entertain a motion to set the date for the annual organizational meeting for December 14th. There's a second.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Okay, item D, approve revised administrative regulation 6173.1.
It is recommended that the administrative reg or the AR 6173.1 education for foster youth be approved as presented. We have updated this administrative reg to continue to be in total compliance with the law. And as we move forward to continue to provide the best support possible for our foster youth within our district.
Okay, any questions or discussion on that item? Is there a motion to approve the revised AR 6173.1?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Okay, item E, review OCESD's 22-23 LCAP approval from BCOE.
So, Madam President, this is not a action item, and so no action is necessary. But this is just to let the board know that the LCAP was reviewed by the county and approved.
Thank you. Item F, review quarterly report of district compliance with Education Code Section 35186D.
So the board will review the third quarterly report of 2022 pertaining to complaints from the public regarding textbooks and instructional material, facilities, conditions, and teacher vacancies, misassignments during the month of July, August, and September as presented. Again, no action is necessary. And there are no complaints at this time.
Thank you. Then we will move on to item 11, business and finance. And I will again recuse myself from this item.
So Spencer,
Yes,
how many of these will she have to recuse her from? Just with the one?
we will go ahead and go through A through G without her
Okay.
because she
Yeah.
has
So like the whole
She
section.
can be here for G.
she can be here for G. Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me, A through F
A through F.
will apply to her.
All right, I'd like to bring forward and approve the proposed compensation for such salaried classified staff effective July 1st of 2022.
It is recommended that the proposed compensation for classified staff be approved as presented, effective July 1, 2022.
Any questions or concerns? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd like to bring forward the approved salary increase for non-represented staff for 22-23 fiscal school year.
It is recommended that a 10% salary increase be approved for non-represented staff, including confidential, supervisory, management, and administrative for the 2022 fiscal year, effective July 1, 2022.
Any questions or concerns? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. At this time, I'd like to bring forward approved revised salary schedule for CSEA.
It is recommended that the revised salary schedule for classified be approved retroactive July 1, 2022. The schedule reflects a board-approved increase.
Any questions or concerns? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approved revised non-represented salary schedule.
It is recommended that the revised salary schedules for non-represented personnel, confidential, supervisory, management, and administrative be approved retroactive July 1, 2022. The schedule reflects a 10% board-approved increase.
Any questions or concerns? Motion to approve? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd like to bring forward to approve the revised certificated salary schedules for OETA.
It is recommended that the revised salary schedule for certificated be approved retroactive to July 1, 2022. The schedule reflects a 10% board-approved increase.
Any questions or concerns? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to bring forward the approval of 22-23 after-school stipend pay voucher.
It is recommended that the 22-23 after-school stipend pay voucher be approved that reflects the board-approved 10% certificated salary increase approved on September 21, 2022. And this basically increases the after-school stipends that people who are like coaching and things like that, that stipend will also be increased to stay with inflation, things like that.
Any questions or concerns? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, we will move on to item G, approve unaudited actual financial reports for the 21-22 fiscal year.
So the unaudited actuals this year are a month late, like last year. This year they're a month late because the treasurer, who we have all of our funds in, has still yet to post our fair market value of cash and interest adjustments for June. So we waited and waited, hoping that it would be resolved. It wasn't resolved, so I ended up having to estimate that. Unfortunately, it was about a 3 or 4% reduction in cash value year over year. So it was like a $600,000 loss. So I had to make that adjustment manually, and then the auditor will correct it as we go through the audit. So this is a sort of unusual unaudited actuals event. The treasurer's on a new system. Hopefully next year, this won't be the case. This will come to you in September. The unaudited actuals are what the books look like after I've closed the books. They typically tend to have an ending balance higher than what I projected at estimated actuals, because At estimated actuals, you do your best to try to estimate what expenses you think are going to hit the books. And if it doesn't make it by 6:30, it ends up on the ending balance. And then there's also a series of tests that are required tests by the state, some for all different types of measures of our finances. So the big story with unaudited actuals is we ended up with an ending balance that was $3.16 million over what I had projected at estimated actuals. This is quite a gap. But what had happened is when we were talking about the usage of ESSER 2 funds, I was working with our auditor during and after estimated actuals came out and found a strategy to move some expenses into ESSER funds so I can free up those funds to use for the same purpose. We're still going to take that, it's a little over $2 million, and use it for the facilities project we had outlined in our plan, but it no longer has the strings attached that the federal funds did, which were a deadline and all the federal procurement requirements for all of those purchases, where anything over $5,000, you have to have written pre-approval. So what's going to happen this year is most of that 3.16 million is going to be moved into Fund 40, which is our special reserve for capital outlay, and that's where it will be spent out of. So right now, there's a lot of extra money in our ending balance, but it's going to be moved out of the ending balance and into Fund 40. So that's the real story of the big change. The rest was, the expected amount of money you'd have left over on your ending balance. As far as tests go, the current expense formula minimum classroom compensation test, we passed that test by 4.07%. So that's a good thing. So pass. The Every Student Succeeds Act maintenance of effort, which is a measure of if we're spending the same or more amount of money on a per student or overall student basis year over year. So we're spending more on students, and we are doing that. So we met that test. So that's a pass. Then we have the 2 special education tests. These are can be the most challenging tests because they have the most pieces to it. But again, it's the same concept that we're spending more money or the same amount of money per student this year that we did the year before. That's the maintenance of effort, that you're continuing to spend as much or more on your students. So we passed this SEMA, and the SEMA compares the actuals to the actuals, and it should say not the 1920 actuals, it should say the 2021 actuals versus 21-22 actuals. And so this is the more important one because it's the actuals. The SEMB is budget versus actuals. So you still have to pass this test, but it certainly doesn't have the same weight as actuals to actuals because this is just a budget. So I could still make adjustments and things had we not passed the SEMB, but we did pass the SEMB test. And that's unaudited actuals. We passed all of our tests, which is a great thing. And our ending balances, we're positive. So I felt like we did a good thorough job of closing the unaudited actuals. The audit will resume in the late part of November, and then we'll see the audit report coming out in January, February.
Andrew, can you share with the board and kind of remind them that you shared earlier that a big part of that 3.16 million we've kind of set aside and have projects and things. Can you kind of remind the board some of those projects? And
so some of the projects that are already in place, for example, the cabling project for replacing all the cabling, that's over $1 million project. That's one of the things that's in there. The other big piece from these funds is the air conditioning replacements. So that's a project that we were undergoing. That's going to take time. And then again, that's why we kind of use the strategy of, hey, let's get it out of this clock-based money and get it so it's free and clear, because procurement and getting things installed has become incredibly long. For example, the generator project at Ophir, which has been completed, It took 3 years. Wrote that grant right after the campfire with campfire funds. And this is how long it takes to get a generator to your site and installed with all of the appropriate approvals from the Department of the State Architect. So those are some of the projects that we have with there. Also, we have a lot of other facilities projects going on. If you've been to any of our sites, you've seen a lot of new fencing. That's some of the other projects that are wrapped up in that money.
I think it's important to note, like the cabling project, that's really important for our infrastructure, not for just for today, but for the next 5 to 10 years, and making sure all of our network and all our computer-based and software can run on a really robust, quick system, so we don't have the lag, so we don't have the breakdown and things like that when it comes to our technology. And so I appreciate Andrew for really having the foresight to make sure that we continue to be upgraded and updated with our technology, because it plays a huge role in our classrooms.
Yeah, and I will say, when I started here at Orville Elementary about eight years ago or so, Orville City Elementary School District had a very good network backbone, and that has made all the difference when it came to going one-to-one with Chromebooks. We were able to get to one-to-one without any kind of major hurdles, other than getting all the wireless access points installed and buying the Chromebooks. When similar nearby districts attempted this, it took them a couple of years because they then had to build this network backbone that they didn't have. So that's sort of been quietly one of the great things about Orville City Elementary is, really forward and full network capability. And we don't know what the next thing is, right? I don't know what's after Chromebooks, but there's certainly something. And it's certainly going to be on the network. So it's a very wise investment for Orville Elementary.
Thank you. Any questions for Andrew? Or discussions regarding, this is an action item? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the unaudited actual financial reports for the 21-22 fiscal year?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes.
Thank you, Andrew, for all your hard work.
All right, item H is to approve the GAN limit appropriations calculations.
All right. So this is my inside joke with Bill. GAN limit. The GAN limit is not the source of the Incredible Hulk's mystical powers. That's gamma radiation. This is the GAN limit. So this year I went with Captain America's to kind of show you the timeline of this test.
Did you know there's a She-Hulk now, though?
I've watched She-Hulk.
Okay.
It's good. So 1979, the GAN limit was created to ensure that state and local government growth or inflation of government was constrained by inflation. So if the government appropriations exceeded the GAN limit, the funds would be returned to the taxpayers. So it was sort of a stopgap on inflation. That was back in 79 with that sweet Captain America. Then in 88, the GAN limit was changed by Prop 98 so that any excess funds would not be returned to the taxpayers, but would go to schools. Okay, so you're kind of going, well, okay, so what have we done? If we overpay, then it just goes back into the government. Okay, so you can see why it's kind of can be a little bit confusing why we continue to do this. 2022, the GAN limit has grown significantly faster than the government appropriations have since 1988, which pretty much make the GAN limit a pure formality. Even though we have had significant inflation in government growth, it still hasn't caught up. There are some whispers of, oh, maybe we'll eventually get to the GAN limit as inflation just skyrockets, but we're still not there. And then this is how we assume the Hulk feels about the GAN limit being a formality. Any questions about the GAN limit?
I do. How come, if everybody knows that Captain America is Steven Rogers, why is he wearing a mask? We can
Well-
talk about it offline if you like. I mean,
So if you go back to the Civil War comics,
Oh,
when he
no.
was unmasked and then he was immediately murdered, the whole story's right there. It's
Okay.
right there.
thank you. Thank you for
Not the
educating me.
movies. The movies don't explain it like it was originally.
Okay, this is an action item. So is there a motion to approve the GAN limit appropriation calculations? Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. Item I, adopt resolution 22-2303, resolution for adopting the GAN limits.
Because the GAN limit is so important, you get to prove it twice, but I did make a slide for it. There you go.
Oh,
Oh.
When I walk into Andrew's office and I see him working so diligently at his desk, now I know what he's doing.
All right. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution 22-2303? Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries with 5 yes votes. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 6:59 PM. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent.